I'll sing my Jai Radha Madhava.
Yes, Prabhu. Good.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Jai Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Radhe Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ke. Kind of funny, nobody, you could play with yourself there, by yourself. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam devam saraswatam vyasam tato jayamudurayet nasta prayeshu bhadreshu nityang bhagavata sevaya bhagavat uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jai Shri Shri Gaurnitai, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram, Shri Radha Shyama Sundari Vishaka Devi, and all the assembled devotees. Ready to start, Ma? Everything is going
Ready
on
to
okay?
start. Everything's going good. Here's the verse for you.
Okay, good. Sarve yajña-vido yajña-kṣapita-kalmaṣāḥ yajña-śiṣṭāmṛta-bhujo yānti brahma sanātanam. Sarve yajña-vido yajña-kṣapita-kalmaṣāḥ yajña-śiṣṭāmṛta-bhujo yānti brahma sanātanam. Do we do word for word, or how do we do it? All right.
Yeah.
Sarve, all, api, although apparently different, ete, these, yajña-vidha, conversant with the purpose of performing sacrifices, yajña-kṣapita, being cleansed as the result of such performances, kalmaṣāḥ, of simple reactions, yajña-śiṣṭā, of the result of such performances of yajña, amrita-bhujo, those who have tasted such nectar, yānti, do approach, brahma, the supreme, sanātanam, eternal atmosphere. All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reactions, and having tasted the nectar of the results of sacrifices, they advance towards the supreme eternal atmosphere. Srila Prabhupada's purport. From the foregoing explanation of different types of sacrifice, namely sacrifice of one's possessions, study of the Vedas, or philosophical doctrines, and performance of the yoga system, it is found that the common aim of all is to control the senses. Sense gratification is the root cause of material existence. Therefore, unless and until one is situated on a platform apart from sense gratification, there's no chance of being elevated to the eternal platform of full knowledge, full bliss, and full life. This platform is in the eternal atmosphere, or Brahman atmosphere. All the above mentioned sacrifices help one to become cleansed of the impersonal, or help one to become cleansed of the sinful reactions of material existence. By this advancement in life, not only does one become happy and opulent in this life, but also at the end, he enters into the eternal kingdom of God, either merging into the impersonal Brahman or associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to the Bhagavad Gita class, Krishna Balaram Mandir. So this is a very unique time in the life of everyone, and we're learning the meaning of sacrifice. Everyone has to make some sacrifice in life. As Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains in his Sharanagati that in the womb I was suffering, and the Lord appeared, you appeared before me, but then somehow you left my vision and I came into this world, even though there was so much suffering and struggle coming out of the womb. But my friends and relatives, my parents, they all loved me very much. So I thought, place is not so bad. Then as we grow, we have to make a sacrifice. We have to go to school. We want to play all day. Krishna wants to play with his cowherd friends. Mother Yashoda has a difficult time having Krishna and Balaram come back for lunch even. She uses various techniques. Your father Nanda's waiting, come back, come home. No, we want to play. And if they do leave, all the friends are criticizing them. Oh, why you're leaving us? We're not going to play with you again. So there's some sacrifices going to school. As we get inquisitive and realize, then we think that let me go to school and get a good education. I have to definitely have an understanding of the purpose and goal of life. This is a sacrifice. People go to college, get their associates, master's degrees, their PhDs, thinking that the knowledge is the perfection, the goal of what the purpose of life is. That I want to get my education and be happy in this life. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur very clearly, today's his appearance day, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. He's saying that the more mundane education that we develop, the more speculation, because scientists, they have many theories and speculations. Many years ago when I was in school, I heard them say that the last 10 years of science research, we found it is completely, totally wrong. So there are many philosophers, scientists, and education givers, so-called teachers. But unless one understands the purpose of life, or how to sacrifice our time, how to perform yajña, because natural instinct, because of our desire to enjoy in this material world, talking about the desire for sense gratification, everyone has that. Otherwise, we would not be in this material world. Krishna has loving relationships with all his devotees. He has a relationship in Santa, Dasya, Vatsalya, Madhurya, Ras. So he has his friends, he has his servants, he has his parents. He also has his loving relationship with the Gopas and the Gopis. So we try to imitate that in this material world. I want to get married. I have some children. I have to work hard. I have to make things make every endeavor to be successful and be happy in this world. So these are the sacrifices which are being performed. And unfortunately, all the philosophies and all the different ideas of happiness, no one is recognizing that dehi nosmin yata dehe komarang yovanang jara tata dehantara prapya dhirastatra namuyati. That the body is continually changing from boyhood to youth to old age. Our desires vary according to our maturity of body, time, place, and circumstance. And as we get old, wither away and die, then unfortunately, if one doesn't understand that the soul is eternal, that human life is meant for awakening our love for God, and that the real sacrifice is to get knowledge and guidance, then it was all really for nothing. It was all a big waste of time. Just like you may endeavor to build a big building or even a big empire. Without having Krishna in the center and understanding the eternality of the soul, then it's all temporary and all wasted. So just a few verses coming up. is that verse, Tad vidi pranipate na pariprashnena sevaye upadekshyanti te jnanam jnana tattva darshana. That one can follow a particular philosophy. There are many types of philosophies that we are all eternal spirit souls. God is a spirit soul. But once we've achieved that knowledge and that understanding that I am also that eternal spirit soul, once I'm free from the entanglement of the body, I again become God, or I merge into that Brahman, which is the source of everything, immortality. But we're very fortunate because especially in the age of Kali Yuga, we're slow in spiritual advancement. We don't have that ability just by our own, pick ourselves up by our own education, our own knowledge, thinking that we can understand God or the process of self-realization. And Krishna, he comes in every millennium. What to speak of when Krishna is speaking to Arjuna in the beginning of that 4th chapter, that I've instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god 120 million years ago. And this is Guru Parampara, this Evam Parampara Praptam. You know, everyone is very doubting in this world, and everyone is very much questioning, well, how do you know this? How do you know that? Why do you believe this? Why do you believe that? This is not a blind philosophy. Krishna consciousness is based on logic, science, and when you hear Bhagavad Gita, when you read Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, nectar of devotion, nectar of instruction, all the very scientifically spelling out how to disentangle ourselves from this network. Just like when you get tar, you know, like you get stuck in the quicksand, or like tar, your legs get stuck, your hands get stuck, and every move you make, you go further, deeper into that quicksand or entanglement. So by our own endeavors, by our own desire to achieve perfection, first of all, we don't know what the perfection of life is. Everyone's thinking a happy family, make good money, have a good car, have all the good things that money can buy, nice home, friends, enjoy. Life is good. For a few flickering years, just like Ravana, even though he was considered a big demon, he had knowledge of the Vedas. He actually satisfied Lord Shiva. He had great strength, great mystic power, great wealth, practically everything that everyone's striving for in this material world. But showing that no matter if you accumulate all the wealth and all the toys and all the different so-called happiness, ultimately, very quickly, we're going to get old. Our senses are still desirous of enjoyment, but we have no facility to enjoy. Everything is now falling apart, getting mushy and soft. And this is the illusion of this material world, thinking that we can be happy perpetually. How we can imagine the demigods who live for, according to our estimation, millions of years, but the fear factor is still there, because there's still this janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi, that there's birth, old age, disease, and death. Ultimately, the death is there. So even Krishna spoke this science of Bhagavad Gita 120 million years ago, and for so many years it was not existent, it was gone. So Krishna appears every millennium. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata bhutananga dharmasya tadatmanang sajamyaham. Again and again he's appearing, and he appeared as was the beginning of end of Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga, as Krishna Balaram spoke again this Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. But people in this material world, they don't want to know, they really don't want to know. They want to stay in the ignorance of trying to make the solutions to their own problems in life. All the religions and all the different philosophies, religion is the law of God. and according to time, place, and circumstance, and the ability of the recipient of the conditioned soul's ability to understand, and the time in which he's living in, Krishna delivers the message. And every millennium he's appearing. You see the Das Avatar, Lord Nrsingadev, Vamanadev. We're just so many incarnations of the Lord, countless incarnations, because Krishna, the Father, never gives up. The Father is always eager to bring back his children, bring back his sons and daughters. And unfortunately, we'd wish that, well, Krishna would force us to go home. That may be. It's a good idea that, well, Krishna could just use his mystic powers and dazzle us, lifting Govardhan Hill or performing so many miracles. Nowadays, if somebody gets a little gold in his hand or some dust, people think, oh, he's God. He's a great mystic. But Krishna's floating unlimited planets, unlimited universes, and everything is very systematic, very well organized, very, everything's working incredibly. Just imagine Krishna just glances at material nature and impregnates material nature. Then he enters into that, and as Garbhodaksha from Mahavishnu, he creates so many universes from the pores of his body. And then into each one of these universes, like a golden egg expands, and he enters into each one of those universes as Garbhodaksha Vishnu, creates an ocean, the Garbha ocean from his perspiration. Ananta, Lord Balaram, provides nice bedding. Lakshmi Devi is serving him with love and devotion. And then he creates Brahma and all the planetary systems. And that's not enough. By his effulgence, all the planets are rotating in space, and all the air, the water, all the fire, necessary ingredients for our existence are being manufactured. Where do they come from? Where does the sun come from? How are the planets floating in space, and how is everything just so managed and organized so perfectly? So that's not enough. Now, Kshirodaksha Vishnu, let me enter into every atom, into the heart of every living being as a super soul. Every atom in space, everything is Krishna. So we know, oh yes, Krishna is everything. But then how to recognize the magnanimity or the strength or the power, omnipotence of God? You think, how can there be a God who's just ever existing, Satchidananda Vigraha, eternal, full of bliss, full of knowledge? Great mystics have performed thousands of years of meditation, the Lord in the heart, Paramatma in the heart. Great sacrifices according to the Vedic instruction. And at least one has to be a pious person to accept the fact that the Vedic literature, they give, according to one's necessity or want in life, they give the prescribed method. You want to go to the heavenly planets? This is the method. You want to have great riches and a beautiful wife? Follow this process. Perform some sacrifice, some yajna, and the results will come. So then we have to dig around in our mind and our heart. Well, what do we really want? What do we want in life? Are the temporary goals of our forefathers, of the great emperors and kings, or all the great people in history that we read about, is that what we want? Is it just money? Is it just sex? Is it just the enjoyments of this material world? What is it that we really want? And accordingly, we perform our sacrifice, our yajna. Man has to sacrifice. Yayata mang prapajate tangstataiva bhajamyaham. As we surrender to Krishna, Krishna is rewarding us accordingly. And even though we may feel, well, I'm not worthy, I'm not qualified, Krishna is just super kind. He's giving me, this special benediction. I don't know, I'm like I'm worse than Jagai Madhai. All the great saints feel that way. They feel themselves totally unqualified. Haridas Thakur would not go visit Jagannath Temple. He's the Namacharya. Such a great, and then there's the social status, because he was born in a Muslim Mohammedan family. Oh, I'm very fallen, or we may think, oh, I come from a family of meat eaters. I'm a malecha. I'm good for nothing. Yeah, the sentiment or the feeling of humility is necessary, not false humility. But when you read Bhaktivinoda Thakur, you think there's no worse sinner than me in the three worlds. If you're going to save someone, I'm first on the list because I'm the most fallen. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord, once in the day of Brahma, 311 trillion years, I don't know, it's a long, long time. He appeared, and Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda appeared to give us the ultimate yajña, the ultimate sacrifice. Krishna Varanam Tasha Krishnam Sangopangasta Parshadam Jagnai Sankirtam Prayaya Yānti Hisamedasaha. So everyone's performing various sacrifices, but we're living in Kali Yuga. We're living in this age when our lifespan is very short. And we're definitely seeing no happiness. We're all having cabin fever. We're locked in. You can't go out. There's curfew to the end of April, end of May, end of June, end of July, end of August, end of September, and believe it or not, we're in Vrindavan, so we're very, very fortunate. I'm feeling blessed. But still there's struggle because people are getting sick, or people worry about our health, worry about the preaching and doing our service, whatnot. So there's always anxiety. Now we can imagine what the Pandavas were going through during the conflict with their cousin brothers, the Pandavas and the Kurus, Shakuni and gang, all the diplomacy and jealousy and trickery. We see some of that here too in modern day. It's all available. If you see the Trumps and the politicians and this one blaming that one and this, that, and everything else, no one having a clue of the perfection or goal of life, that there is a life after death, and how glorious is that life after death. So to perform a guided sacrifice, it's like if you're sick and you think, well, I'm just going to go to the medical store and just take all kinds of medicines. I'm sure I'll get better some way, somehow. Unless you have the guidance of the physician who analyzes your disease and gives you appropriate medicine to cure your madness, it's not possible. So we have Srila Prabhupada's mercy and guidance, the sacrifice that Srila Prabhupada performed for our benefit, so that we can actually achieve the perfection of all sacrifice. And one who is non-envious, one who is not jealous, then he can actually give oral reception to the Bhagavad message, to the message of Vyasadeva, to the message of Krishna. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Krishna, he comes personally, he sends his associates, he sends his son, he sends the guru. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur came to set things straight. Again, even though Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and liberated everybody, and everyone was dancing and chanting in ecstasy, Lord Nityananda, Haridas Thakur preaching, and covered so much, giving so many seeds of the seed of devotion, and giving a very simple process, defeating all the scholarly Mayavadi Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Prakashananda Saraswati, all the different sects and misleading teachings. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very patiently and very humbly explained the true essence of the Vedic literature, of how one can understand that the goal of life is the holy name of the Lord, that Krishna is not different than his name, that by hearing the name of God, by hearing God's pastimes, the Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. And it may seem like a very simplistic process, and that people sometimes consider that bhaktas are uneducated, not scholarly, sentimental fanatics. we may be fanatical, but we're fanatical for Krishna. We're enthusiastic to hear about Krishna. We want to avoid those persons who are not reminding us of Krishna, who are talking nonsense about this material life. We should actually become very much charged up to hear more. Now, as we're getting locked in, especially, we should increase our hearing of Bhagavatam, hearing of Bhagavad Gita, and the chanting of the holy name, because this is our only saving grace, that the name of Krishna, although we don't have a taste, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying, Nam Nama Kari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis, Tarapita Niyamata Smaranena Kala, Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Namapi Durdava Midrisham Hajani Nanuraga. That you've given so many wonderful, like Krishna, Govinda, and all the potency of your names is there, but I'm so unfortunate I have no attraction for them. Somehow I've fallen into this ocean of birth and death. Somehow or other we've fallen into this cycle of birth and death. And practically, if you look at the history of millions and millions of years, there's no hope for anybody. It says many, many people in the past have achieved the perfection, but on the other hand, the unlimited billions and trillions of living entities who go through a whole day of Brahma, then are again withdrawn for the whole night of Brahma and come back for the whole day of Brahma, going from this body to that body. What to speak of, demigod body or animal body. Human life is so rare. Human form of life is meant for performing sacrifice, yajña. And when one tastes the eternal nectar of the yajña, that yes, that I'm calling out, my dear Lord, please pick me up from this ocean of birth and death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. From this day on, I'm your eternal servant. My house, my family, all my so-called possessions, everything belongs to you. It's all your property, and I am simply your servant. I am simply serving at your lotus feet. And then when one has a master who's protecting and guiding him, then he feels totally blessed and has direction in life without having to think about, well, how do I achieve this goal? Because Krishna is speaking directly as the guru, the spiritual master. The spiritual master is non-different than Krishna. And Krishna is the spiritual master. And he's actually guiding us for those who want to take that kind of guidance. But if one is feeling that I don't need guidance, or traditionally I'm following my spiritual master as just a routine or sentiment, sometimes it becomes fashionable. I need to have a guru. Everyone has a guru. I should have a guru too. Have a spiritual name. But this is a very important step in our sacrifice in life, that we take the initiation from the spiritual master, and we're following the rules and regulations as given by Rupa Goswami and the Goswamis. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, and his mission was to give this message to Sanātanam Goswami and Rupa Goswami, his eternal associates, Swarup Damodar, Raghunath Das, Jiva Goswami, and they elaborated on the science of bhakti and the nectar of devotional service, nectar of instruction, all the rules and regulations, which are giving everyone the opportunity to understand the purpose and goal of life. So this is the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is actually an incredible science given such a long time ago, but also very much present in our life today. The Bhagavad Gita is actually guiding everyone, because Krishna is giving this knowledge to Arjuna, and this knowledge is maturing in the form of this Krishna consciousness movement. Srila Prabhupada did not just create some society for his own popularity, or he didn't cross the ocean and suffer heart attacks and come with the determination to carry out the order of his spiritual master out of some blind sentiment. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he put everything back on track for Bhakti Yoga, the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the yajña, the religion for this age, the Sankirtan yajña, is actually Krishna incarnated. The chanting and dancing gives actually great pleasure for when this is Lord Chaitanya's method of devotional service, giving everyone an opportunity to participate in the highest sacrifice. Because it is difficult. I know that some devotees can chant 108 rounds or 64 rounds for us, but even 16 rounds of controlling the mind, of actually praying to Krishna and calling out Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, takes discipline. Following the rules and regulations takes discipline. Sit down and hear about Krishna. Read the books, the literatures by the Goswamis. It takes discipline, sacrifice, yajña. And so we should very happily perform this sacrifice, because this sacrifice will ultimately give us the fruit of love of Krishna. So continue following Srila Prabhupada's teachings. Continue this chanting and dancing, and somehow we'll get through this pandemic. History has its pandemics, and history has its revolutions and wars and pestilence, and somehow or other we find ourselves in a very unique time in history. I've never seen this like this, and I don't think anyone's seen it like this for. It's like the whole world is mesmerized, and because of the sinful activities, killing mother cow, and all the other obnoxious activities that people perform due to not having the proper understanding of the purpose and goal of life, or the guidance of the Vedic literature or the guru. One who's atheist, they don't see any harm in slaughter. Prabhupada tells a story of the Calcutta, one hotel owner, he cut the head of a chicken, and the chicken's running around, the little boy's crying, the baby, seeing it, and he's laughing. Oh, why are you crying? This is how callous and barbaric people become, that the suffering of others gives them happiness. Oh, that child was a mistake, aborted. Let's abort it. Oh, there's too many cows, let us kill them and make some money, or eat the meat and think that you'll become healthy this way. But these are all greatly, severely sinful activities, which are causing one to go deeper and deeper into the hellish existence. So our only saving grace is Srila Prabhupada. Daily we should read his books. Daily we should hear about Krishna and Balaram, and hear about the activities of Sri Vrindavan Dham. To chant the holy name, to worship Tulsi Devi, to live in the holy Dham, to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, recite the literatures of Srimad Bhagavatam, to associate with Vaishnavas, to take prasadam. It may seem like so many rules and regulations, but it all makes sense. It becomes very relishable, very enlivening, that, I'm revealing my mind in confidence, or I'm hearing confidentially, I'm offering prasadam, or someone's inviting and giving prasadam. So gift is there, giving and receiving. There are many do's and don'ts. Atyahara prayasa cha prajalpo niyamagraha janasa gasta yagancha shabir bhakti pranashyati. That, over accumulating, eating too much, vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jiva vegam udara pasta vegam. What to speak of uncontrolled tongue, uncontrolled mind, uncontrolled belly. We all struggle. we all have, we're all in the shower in the cleansing process of bhakti. But the beauty of all sacrifice, all rules and regulations, I mean, if you want to get to just get in the elevator and press the top button and zoom up to the top. And that's the chanting of the Lord's holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Even the mantra Om is Krishna, non-different in Krishna. So the Mahamantra is also Om. And it says that this is the source of the Brahmananda, the source of the universe, the source of everything. Because Krishna and that sound vibration of Krishna is not different. So all the guidance that we're taking and all the education, all the PhDs and master's degrees that one wants to accumulate, I know it may seem overly simplistic because obviously when you're a young man and you're getting married, you have children, you need a job, you have to work, you have to perform your duties. But we're taught by Srila Prabhupada this I in mind, we converted to Krishna, that it's no longer, my house and my family and my children and my bank balance. If we actually recognize that everything belongs to Krishna. This body, was it made of? Earth, water, fire, air, ether, bhumi, rapanalo, vayu, kamano, buddhireva cha. Krishna is the source of earth. Krishna is the source of fire, of air, of everything. And that gives us great satisfaction and happiness knowing Krishna is in charge. Krishna is in control. Parang Dhamma Pavitrang Paramang Patrang, what is that? Pavitrang Barang Bhavan Purushang Shashvatam Divyam Adi Devam Jam Vibhum. Arjuna, recognize that you're the supreme person. You're the supreme source of everything. And of all yogis, the one who surrenders to Krishna, he's the greatest yogi. And when one comes to this Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma stage, Nashochati, Nakangshati, no more happiness and sadness, good and bad. Everything is absolute. Everything is offered to Krishna as a sacrifice. So let us offer our time, our mind, our activities for Krishna's service. That'll give us real happiness. And Srila Prabhupada said that simply by our endeavor, by preaching work, if we make one person Krishna conscious, then his mission is complete. So now we have thousands, tens of thousands, millions of followers, and each one to different degrees of understanding and maybe seriousness. I'm sure there are many who are very sincere, very dedicated, and taking full advantage or of utilizing this process. Just like yesterday, I went to Desire Tree and I looked up Sharanagati, and I got to read Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It's this beautiful meditation, beautiful prayers, and beautiful realization. And I thought, wow, the endeavor that the devotees did to compile these literatures and make them available for the devotees. We're living in the modern age. On our computer, we can immediately look up the different prayers, and although the books are good too. Now we just actually received a set of Bhagavatam of the Devi Shakti's mercy, and told the wife, okay, she likes to read the books. I like my iPad, but she likes the books. But the important thing is to hear about Krishna, remember Krishna. I tell my grandsons, what are the two rules? Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. And how do we always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna? By chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. What are the four miseries of life? Birth, old age, disease, and death. Maybe they don't have full realization, but they know it. And every time I speak to them, I ask them the two rules at least. So we should follow in their footsteps. Never forget Krishna. Always remember Krishna. We're going to have difficulties. There will be challenges. We may think, because of this reason, this person or this, what this person did to me, or lousy manager, we're all suffering, or whatever it might be. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely challenges, and there's definitely the blame game would be there. But the real thing is that somehow or other, I've come in this world out of ignorance. I've committed so many sinful activities, but now by the mercy of Guru, Gauranga, by Krishna, all the devotees, I have an opportunity to remember Krishna, to hear about Krishna. What to speak of if you are fortunate to live in Sri Vrindavan Dham, serve Krishna Balaram, Sri Sri Gaurnitai, Radha Shyama Sundar. The Leela pastimes are all there, the beauty is there, the intensity of the holy Dham is there, and everyone's remembering Radhe Radhe, Srimati Radharani, the most dear servant of Krishna. And if you can sacrifice your time to render service to the Vaishnavas and render service to the holy name and serve Krishna Prabhupada in his mission, not idly. Arjuna thought real yoga means idle, just to stop all work and just meditate. But our meditation is serving actively, the way Prabhupada served, the way Bhaktivinoda Thakur served as a magistrate, writing 100 books, and his schedule was 24/7, fixed on the self-realization. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta performed great yajña, tapasyas, sacrifice for the spreading of this Krishna consciousness movement. Srila Prabhupada, in our time, before our very eyes, manifested a miracle of spreading this Krishna bhakti to the most fallen souls in America and all over the world. And so now the seeds are planted. We have to keep watering these seeds of bhakti by our own determination and by our own self-purification of performing the yajna ourselves, and then also offering to others some inspiration, hopefully. And this is the following in the Guru Parampara, following in Srila Prabhupada's footsteps. He was very eager for Krishna, and he gave it in a very glorious way to others. So we should also be very eager to spread the family message of Krishna consciousness. Just let everyone utilize whatever remaining time we have left in this world for hearing about Krishna, speaking about Krishna, remembering Krishna, and doing our devotional service, our bhakti. So I want to thank the organizer for making the Bhagavad Gita class. You should advertise it on Facebook. Just tell Uddhava, put it on our webpage too, that this way you can actually continue lockdown or no lockdown. Bhagavad Gita will go on. And,
okay, we can try to suggest that. So far, I'm just doing it on Kamala's community notice board. But I think nice. A lot of people are not getting that.
Give it to Uddhava. He'll put it on our Facebook. We have a large following on Facebook. We could do a promotional on our webpage. And we're learning a few things since the lockdown, that people are spending more time on social media, and the 24-hour kirtan goes on all over the world in different ways, and everyone's zooming in the convenience of their home. They can have the kirtan right there. They can have the Gita class right there. So we should popularize as best we can.
Yeah, I'd like to distribute. Yeah, I'll try that. I'll write to Bandhu Prabhu and suggest that. Okay.
So do you do questions and answers, or?
Yes, does anyone have any questions or comments today? You can raise your hand. Asit Raja Prabhu, please ask.
Okay. Thank you, Panchagauda Prabhu, for a very nice enlightening class into the life and teachings of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Good to hear from you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
My question is, when we meditate upon the life of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the two things stand out. He is a Nitya-siddha devotee, and in his Grahastha ashrama, he had 9 children. So normally Grahastha ashrama, you try to keep your entanglements as minimum and low as possible. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur, had 9 children. And then another thing that stands out, that he took the initiation from Bipin Bihari Goswami, who is not coming from our bona fide sampradaya. Of course, he had a Siksha Guru in the form of Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. So can you explain these two aspects, that how a pure devotee and Nityasiddha devotee like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, had these two things in his life, which is very mind-boggling and contrary to the principle of keep your material engagements limited so that you can concentrate on Krishna. He did so much service to Krishna, yet he had a family of 9 children. This somehow, Prabhu, if you can elaborate on this point, and why did he accept the initiation, from a sadhu who is not from our bona fide sampradaya?
Well, it may appear like that just as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took initiation from Keshava Bharati, although Keshava Bharati, Ishvara Puri, I'm sorry, Ishvara Puri. And there was some questions about, well, why did Lord Chaitanya do this way and that way? All I can say is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very strict for his followers, just like Chota Haridas. He was banished for what we think is something that's not so significant. He may have looked or took, he may have transgressed the rules and regulations of a sannyas to a certain degree, but it seemed like it wasn't such a grievous thing. But Lord Chaitanya was very, very heavy, very strong. But then when his Grihastha disciple is having a child, he's giving blessing and very happy about that. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's having his first wife died early, took a second wife, and had so many children. Even if Prabhupada had quite a few children, and it appears as though that this is not an impediment in one's devotional life to have a larger family. Of course, there's a general rule. Prabhupada said if you can stay brahmachari, better to be brahmachari and avoid the whole hassle of it. But then again, if one can bring Krishna conscious children into this world, then you can have thousands of children. But not saying that all of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's children were 100% Krishna conscious. But these are all, pastimes and how things work in this material world. To get into the nitty-gritty or the details of it all, would start seeing him as in a mundane way. So this is the whole idea, that we need to see these transcendental personalities not in a mundane way, but in a spiritual way. That they set the example that whether you have 100 children or no children, whether you're a sannyasi, a grihastha, vanaprastha, a so-called businessman, renunciate, everybody take to the process of bhakti. The process of bhakti. And he, despite the fact having such a family, he did so much big government service, wrote 100 books.
Oh, yes.
And chanting and performing the bhakti, which is beyond anyone's comparison. So showing that these are, although these things may have taken place, they're not mundane, they're not ordinary. There's some higher lessons to be had. And of course, it could be a long philosophical discussion, but we should understand that we would think, well, how is it that Lord Chaitanya would allow his eternal servants of Sanatana and Rupa to be involved in as servants of the Muslim government when he's out conquering, killing, and they're managing, they're participating in all things. So for us to try to analyze the history and the so-called domestic worldly activities of these saintly persons would be to bring them down to the mundane platform. So we need to it's actually condemned to think that a pure devotee is an ordinary person. So from that point of view, I may have skirted the exact answer, but we should understand that the pure devotee is above all the laws of common rules and regulations. Just like Krishna, he's criticized that, how dare you dance with the wives of others in the middle of the night? So, we can be here and analyze what to speak of a great guru's activity, what's our own Krishna's activities. We could be here all day long discussing wait a second, there's something wrong here, you know? But that, it's just to really bewilder the minds of the atheistic people. Why did Buddha appear? Lord Shiva, appeared as Shankaracharya and the Sharika Bhashya, and it's condemned, but there's a purpose behind it. We might not understand fully the purpose. I always think, what's Narada Muni doing, telling Kamsa all these things? Now Kamsa and all his demonic friends are killing all the little kids just born. I said, how Narada Muni is doing these things? There's explanations for everything, but anyway.
Sure.
Thank you. Very, very interesting, deep question.
Thank you, Prabhu, for a very enlightening answer. Thank you so much for giving,
I'm
so
sure
much dimension and variety
of gone
explanations.
many directions, but that's all. That's what I had in my little. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions coming? I have one question, Prabhu.
Yes, ma'am.
So we can see coronavirus as being like karma for the whole society, and we can see it as a way to stop the hedonistic society, which will open up a preaching field for us. But how should we see it when the devotees are getting coronavirus and suffering?
Well, it's Krishna's will. Obviously, it increases our praying, our own meditation, our own understanding of the temporal nature of this material world. And many nice Vaishnavas, Jainanda, when he was doing so much service for Prabhupada and all the Rath Yatras, then he got leukemia and died, very quickly, very early on. And obviously many other wonderful Vaishnavas, sometimes they depart in an untimely way, you may think. But Krishna has his purpose. It increases the devotion of those sincere followers. Of course, it's a great loss and a great heartache for us to lose anyone, because obviously their association enlightens us or enlivens us, and we're seeing so much work that they're doing, spreading the mission of Lord Chaitanya, and why Krishna's taking such an important person now. We need more than ever. This is the nature of battlefield. We're on a battlefield, and this battlefield has been going on since time immemorial. Many great stalwarts will leave, and there's unlimited opportunity for all of us to continue taking up the preaching work. Of course, Prabhupada said, just like those people were catching one Corella, how you say it? That
Corella.
they were getting
yeah. I know.
Not the food, but
yeah.
Prabhupada said, it's your nonsense for going to a place where such a thing, is infested with this disease. So you may think, well, Krishna's in charge, so I can go out, I can mingle with, I can go to the COVID hospital, and it's no big deal. If Krishna wants to protect me, no one can hurt me. Krishna wants to kill me, no one can protect me. But yes, but also yayatam prapajate, as they surrender, I reward them accordingly. And Krishna says, man proposes and God disposes. So we have to use our intelligence also. We should not be foolish and think that we can act whimsically. But sometimes then we think, well, did so-and-so act foolishly and then he got that? That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that we have to use our intelligence, our logic and reason, but at the same time, we have to understand that Krishna has his plan, and that sometimes great personalities leave. That they said that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was going to live for a long, long time, but he was actually feeling very disgusted with the bickering and the fighting of the devotees, and I mean like that, but also that's not a mundane thing either. So this virus is to awaken us to the fact that we're very vulnerable. We have a temporary existence, that we should utilize our time very carefully, and we should intelligently conduct ourselves to stay safe so we can continue preaching. Just like Sanatana Goswami was thinking possibly I'm going to commit suicide because I'm causing great displeasure to Lord Chaitanya by him touching me. I'm so diseased. And Lord Chaitanya said, no, this is not your body. I have great plans for you, so you must take care of your body. Srila Prabhupada is often concerned. Prabhupada is often concerned that devotees stay healthy so they can continue doing their service in Krishna consciousness. But if someone is leaving us, we have great lamentation, but we also understand that Krishna is making that arrangement.
Good. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Okay.
So,
it looks like there's nothing else coming, so we can end the class.
Thank you. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam
Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo.
Thank you.